In the Bible, there's an interesting story about God and the first UFC wrestling match ever documented in human history. And God lost? A lot of our Muslim and atheist friends will ask us, if God is so powerful, how did he lose in a wrestling match against a mere human being? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss why and what is the implications of that wrestling match that changed Jacob's name to Israel. The first thing we want to recognize is that when the man touched Jacob's socket, he made Jacob a crippled for the rest of his life. And the Jews, till this day, the practicing religious Jews, do not eat any meat from that area on the body of an animal in honor of Jacob in this wrestling match. So let's just put that on the table first. But what does that tell you about the power of this man that Jacob was wrestling? If the man was able just by touching, right, not by like punching and kicking and destroying the man's sinew and ligaments, and no. He just touched him and then boom, out of socket, disability for the rest of his life. What does it tell you about the power of this man, right? It tells you that if this man really wanted to, imagine he touches his neck. What would he do to his neck, right? Snapped, destroyed, finished, gone. He would take him out in an instant. It says that he could take him out, you could beat him up, but why did then God lose the first UFC championship match in recorded history? Why did he lose? In Genesis 32:24-32, the story goes as follow.
And so the socket of Jacob's thigh was dislocated while he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But he said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And look at 31 and 32. And the sun rose up upon him just as he crossed over Peniel, and he was limping on his thigh. Therefore, to this day, the sons of Israel do not eat the sinew of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of Jacob's thigh in the sinew of his hip.
So you see, the Jews are, by tradition, not eating that part of the sinew on the animal in respect of this UFC bout. He was limping on his thigh. Like he left him a crippled for the rest of his life. He was crippled. So here we're told by this man just touching him, he could have snapped his neck, one touch, finished. UFC match done. All right. Is that an illegal move? I don't know. We'll have to ask Dana White. So what would he have done if he just touched his neck, right? He would have sent him to Abraham, right? To his forefathers before him. But then why did he lose? All right, now let's go through an analogy that would be analogous to the situation, right? You have a son and you're play fighting with him, and you want him to try his hardest, but at the end of the day, you're his dad. You could take him out anytime you want, but that's not the purpose. You're trying to show him how to be a man, right? For lack of better words. And you're gonna lose, right? Oh, you beat me up, son. Good job. Okay, you really tried your hardest. Look at you, put on a sweat. Good job. But the dad threw in the towel. It's not because the dad wasn't able to beat his son, but that's not the reason why he was wrestling him. Not to defeat him, not to unalive him. You want to discipline your son. You want to train your son. You want to strengthen him. You're going to put him through these scenarios that are uncomfortable, but still where you have control over the situation, where you're going to make sure he earns it, right? Until he pins you down, until he really builds up a sweat, where he's really trying his hardest. And when you can see he's trying his hardest, then, oh, you beat me, son. But it's not because he's stronger than you. So, what was the point of the wrestling match in the first place, you may be asking? If you start at Genesis 25:29, right, you're going to read the story of Jacob. You're going to look at this guy's life. So, if we go to Genesis 27, it starts the story of Jacob. If you start there, you're going to see that Jacob and his mother are plotting, deceiving, right, making plans, being deceptive to get their way above everybody else. What did Jacob do with his mother to get Isaac to bless him? If you remember the story, right, his mother heard that the father was going to bless the oldest son. So this dad says, "Hey, son, go out there and fetch me some game, go hunt, and then go make me some stew and bring it to me. I'm going to eat it, enjoy it, then I'm going to give you a blessing before I pass away." And Rebecca hears this. She went and killed a goat and got the hair to make the meat for her son Jacob to present it to his dad. They put hair on top of his body so it would, mimic the feeling of his older brother that was hairier than him, right? And then him and his mother literally go in there and conspire, and they're like, "Man, should we do this?" And mother's like, "Listen, let the curse, whatever bad's gonna happen, it's gonna come on me, okay, my son? Just listen to my voice, and we're gonna do this plan because I like you more than your brother, and I want you to get that blessing. So they make this plan up. They get the hair on him. They get the stew. He brings it to his father, and his father, at this point, he's like going blind, right? He doesn't see that well. So what does he do? He feels the arm of his son, right? Because he can hear the voice. Says, "This is the voice of like my younger son. This is Jacob's voice." But the arms, the feeling, the touch, it's my oldest son. How's this? He's confused at this point, right? And Jacob's just like, man, eat it, eat it, eat it. And then the dad's just confused at this point. He's just like, okay, I'm just gonna eat this and I'm gonna give you the blessing. He eats it, gives him the blessing, and then the older son comes and says, "Dad, look, I just came. Here's the animal." And he says, "Sorry, your brother Jacob deceived me. He took the blessing." The son says, "Can I please get another blessing?" Dad's like, "Sorry, like there was that one blessing that I had to give before I passed, and I gave it to him. So now your descendants are going to serve his descendants. I'm sorry, son." And then he cries bitterly. But Jacob and his mother plan succeeded. Now he's afraid of his brother that he's going to come unalive him. So his mother tells him to flee and go to his uncle's house. So Rebecca sends Jacob to her brother's house, Laban. So then he starts working for Laban, and he finds out that Laban is also a liar and deceiver just like him. And what does he do? Who cheats Jacob out of his wages. He tells him, "Work for me 7 years, and you can have my daughter that you've been eyeing, okay? You're in love with her, I see it. You want to marry her, just work for me 7 years, short years, 7 short years, and you can marry my daughter." And it's ironic because Jacob was a deceiver and then he went into the hands of a deceiver. So this is a principle, reaping what you sow, right? He's sowing deception, he's sowing all this stuff, and this is exactly what he's reaping, what he's harvesting. Same measure you use will be used against you. Rebecca and Jacob deceived Isaac. Now Laban is going to be deceiving Jacob. Somebody that's going to deceive him so badly that he's going to be making Jacob look humble in comparison. Laban had two daughters, Leah and Rachel. Now Jacob loved Rachel. He wanted Rachel. He did not want Leah. So he decided, "I'm going to work for you 7 years for Rachel." Rachel was the younger sister. Leah was her older sister. And it says in the Bible that Leah's eyes wasn't as fair as Rachel. So the younger sister was more beautiful, right? She was more attractive than her older sister. This is why Jacob wanted her. She was the Monica Bellucci, the Kim Kardashian, the Beyonce, the Rihanna of her day, right? She was that beautiful. Jacob needed to have her. He was head over heels. And he was like, 7 years, that's going to go by like nothing because I'm so in love with her. So the 7 years go by like one day, right? This guy's like, yes, 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 I'm gonna go marry her. I'm gonna have her. I'm so ready. I'm so ready. So they had like a big banquet, right? And Laban, this is where the deceit comes in. Here's where things get wicked. Laban says, "Yo, give that man the Hennessy. Give the man the liquor. Give the man the Bolicious. I don't even know. Whatever liquor they were giving out at that time, get him drunk." So they got him lit because he's partying. He's like, the 7 years have gone by. I'm gonna marry my baby Rachel, this beautiful his cousin. He's gonna marry her, and we're gonna make a lot of babies, and we're gonna have so much fun. And then this is where the deceit comes in. Laban then tells Leah, the older sister, go into his bed. So she goes into his bed, lights her off. Well, not lights her off, right? They don't have electricity, right? So she goes into the bed, and I can only imagine. He just said to her, like, "Don't say anything. Just go in there." And then he's gonna be so excited that it's Rachel, but it's gonna be you. Why? Because he wanted to have him work even more years for him because he saw how much God would bless Jacob, and in turn it would bless Laban, because if Jacob's working for Laban as a farmer keeping animals, and the more and more animals Jacob has, the more and more animals Laban has. So he sends the older daughter in there, and this guy gets busy. So when you get busy, there's no ungetting busy. Right now, she's your wife. So when he wakes up in the morning, you can only imagine he's waking up in the morning, he's hungover after drinking all that Hennessy, and then he looks at her and he says, "Leah, what are you doing in my bed?" It goes to Laban, "You deceived me, you tricked me." And then he says, "Listen, listen, listen, young fella. In my culture, right? In my customs, it's dishonorable to marry the younger daughter before their older daughter, okay? So I had to do this to you, young buck, okay? But listen, if you work for me in just another 7 years, you can have the one you wanted to begin with. So he got 14 years of work out of Jacob. And guys, I'm obviously making this more theatrical. There wasn't Hennessy at that time. It doesn't even say that he actually got him drunk, but it's just like when I read it, my perspective, right? You have a big banquet. It's like before the wedding. What is everybody always doing before weddings? They're drinking, they're having fun. Look at Jesus turning the water into wine before their wedding, right? So it's just my own fan theory, but at the end of the day, he got tricked, and God is teaching a lesson here, right? Don't be a deceiver. You reap what you sow, right? You plant iniquity, you're going to reap iniquity. If you're planting deception, what's going to come back to you? Deception. If you deceive people, what's going to happen to you? You're going to be deceived. There's always someone that will be a bigger deceiver than you, a bigger cheater than you, a bigger anything than you. Somebody will always be out there that will be bigger that you'll meet one day, smarter than you, and they'll manipulate you. So Laban turned out to be a bigger scammer than even his nephew could have wished to be. So now he worked 14 years and got an extra woman he didn't even want to begin with. And watch here what it says for Leah. This is the love that's shown from God to Leah, right? And she shows God's heart on what's happening in this relationship. And Laban, he's still not done with his cheating and scamming ways. He says to Jacob, okay, listen, if we're going to go divide this so you can like have some to take away when you leave, I want to be left with the bigger portion, right? So I'll take all the animals that have any spots and speckled, and you'll take the pure ones, the pure color ones, right? So Jacob one night decides he's running. I'm done with this scammer. This guy is pissing me off. He's a terrible boss. He keeps scamming me out my wages. He doesn't want to give me anything that I'm making. Like I'm done with this guy. I'm running. Harriet Tubman. I'm out of here. So he left with his two wives and two maidservants. He was having intercourse with four women. He was getting busy back then, right? You can read the whole story for yourself. One wife was like, I can't make any babies, take mine. The other one's it's very messy what's happening, right? And a good part to tell is God did not tell him, you need to do this, you need to do this, take this one, take that one. These are people making their decisions and it just being recorded. Not prescriptive, it's descriptive. So after he's done working, he would jump in bed with one of these four women. He had 12 children. Those 12 children became the 12 tribes of Israel. And you know the rest of the story. So he takes off running. Laban chases him because I'm not finna let you go, man. You're finna stay with me forever. So God warned Laban, though, don't hurt him. Don't mess with him, okay? Don't do nothing to him. So the story of Jacob is him running from his problems, not facing his problems. He tries to find ways to get out of his problems, out of difficult circumstances. And the ways that he uses is to lie, to connive, to deceive, to scam, to cheat. So now God is going to teach him a lesson. So now here's the context for this whole story, the whole UFC wrestling bout that God lost. Here's all the things are set up now for us to go into it. So now God appears as a man and he forces him to wrestle him and to teach him, you will not be blessed by running from your problems, but you're going to be blessed by dealing with your problems head on, by using trickery, by cheating and conniving, right? You're going to only be blessed by standing as a man and struggling and fighting and going through these trials. That's how you're going to be blessed. And that's why he says, let me go, because he's teaching him. You don't let him go, right? You don't let it go until you get the blessing. You keep struggling until you succeed. You see here, because if he listened, right, when he said, let me go, if Jacob listened to the man that he was wrestling, when he said, let me go, if he let him go, he wouldn't have received the blessing. He only received the blessing because he said, no, I'm not going to let you go. We're going to keep wrestling until you bless me. When did Jacob receive the blessing? Was it when his father blessed him, right? When he was stealing it? No. It was right here at this moment that he received the blessing. And this is where God appeared and changed his name to Israel, one who wrestles with God. So when his father was giving him those blessings that he cheated and connived over, God was not giving those blessings, not letting them through, right? God's not going to bless that. God only blessed him at this moment, after his wrestling match, after the struggle that he had with him. God isn't going to bless trickery, connivery, cheating, and all of these sins. Look at Jacob's life. He suffered all of his life, and God was teaching him the consequences of his sin. You do this, you do that. Look, now your brother's chasing you. He wants to go take you out. Then you go Laban. Laban's tricking you over there, making you work out. Like, Everything is going to be more struggling on your part when you move through life this way. You're only going to delay the blessing by doing it the way you're doing, by putting things in your own hands and deceiving and cheating and lying and scamming. I won't bless you in sin. I'm only going to bless you in obedience, trust, faithfulness, holiness, righteousness, and love. But then does this mean that if I just do good things in my life, I'm only going to get good things and blessings? Right? Is that what the Bible's teaching? Is that what God's saying here? No, because look at Jesus. Lived a perfect, sinless life, righteousness, holiness, love, every single thing that you could imagine perfection is. And he was spit upon, beat on, crucified, tortured, stabbed. Friends cheated him, deceived him, and left him. And it depends. Why are you doing these good things? Are you doing these good things for the praise of men? So people are going to think, hey, I'm a good Christian. Hey, I'm a good person. What are the intentions behind the actions you're doing? Are you doing good things because you're thinking God's just a vending machine and, hey, God, look, I did this good thing. Now give me the car that I wanted? No, it doesn't work like that. If that's you, then your heart is corrupt. You should be doing good things to show your love for God, to show your trust in God, to show your response to God's love. I want to do good things to thank God for all that He's done for me and who He is. Not, hey, God, I'm going to do this if you give me this. That's like making a bargain with God. That's sin and that's wickedness. That's the same sin that Satan accused Job in the Bible. Hey, Job only loves you. He's only doing these good things because you bless him. If you didn't bless him, he would hate you, he would spit on you, and he would curse you. That's Satan's trap. Don't fall for it. So what's God saying? You need to stop and face your problems and stop running from them. And it says until daybreak. So all night to the morning, he's wrestling and fighting and trying his best and taking on his problems head on for the first time. Even when the man says, let me go, he's saying no to the break of dawn until you bless me. We're going to keep wrestling. He's sweating. He's tired. He's fatigued, right? You can imagine the UFC, right? They have 5 rounds. They're like 2-minute rounds each or something. Imagine wrestling this man, dislocate your leg, right? Make you a cripple for the rest of your life just by him touching you, right? And you're wrestling this guy for all night until morning, getting physically hurt. But he's like, no, 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 I am not going to leave you alone. And then he learned the lesson. And then this is what he said. Let's read.
27. So he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. Then he said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed.
And if you look on Google and see what does Jacob's name mean, it means a supplanter. A meaning for a supplanter or supplant, Jacob's name, means to take the place of something or someone, often by force or through strategic means. Trickery? Conniving? Right? But his name gets changed to Israel because that's no longer your identity. Jacob's name means deceiver. Jacob, you're no longer going to be known as the deceiver because I'm going to change your character. Your name now is Israel, one who strived with God and man and have prevailed, meaning that you've come through all of these problems and all these issues and triumphantly grown and surpassed and accomplished all of these things in order to conquer and rule. You will now be known as the one who has conquered in order to gain the right to rule. Now, notice what he says here. And look, you have striven with God and men and have prevailed. You didn't give up. That was the whole point. Don't give up. Don't give up. When did he wrestle with God? Right? When did he wrestle with God? Some people are like, that man wasn't God. Then why does it say you've wrestled with God? Right? Who did he wrestle with that night? When did he wrestle with God? Well, that night when God appeared as a man to have that UFC match with him. No referees. So when he wrestled with that man, he's wrestling with a man, and he's also wrestling with God because this was the God man. So here he's wrestling with both a man and God. And he says, since you haven't given up, now you have prevailed. And now I have showed you this is how you're supposed to face men. You don't run from men. You trust me that I'm going to be with you and I'm going to help you overcome these situations. You put your trust in me, not in yourself, and think I'm going to have to do this another way and deceive and connive and lie. No, you face them head on and believe that I'm going to fight your battles for you, that you go straight into it and trust me.
When this is for me, this is for all the children will have, so they can remember that their parents were in love and they gave a good example to follow Jesus Christ. That's the only example I'm trying to tell you.
I think we should take out that part about Leah. Or maybe I'll just say right now. God bless Leah. She was having majority of his children because, you know, it says that Jacob loved Rachel more, and he made that very known, right? And she wouldn't get any attention. Then they kept saying how like Rachel only had 2 children. She had like majority of them, right? She had that, and those were his 2 favorite, right? As well, the same thing gets repeated, right? His last 2 children, Benjamin and Joseph, right? And that starts the story for Egypt and what happens in his life. But yeah, the point is that God has mercy on Leah and gives her all these children because he is not loving her, right? He's not loving them both equally. He's giving all the love and attention to Rachel, and Rachel's not having any children. And then she says, man, take my maidservant. Maybe she'll get a child and, you know, it'll be my child. And then she does that, and she's not even happy about that either. A reflection of what happened with Abraham and Sarah with
When this is for me, this is for all the children will have, so they can remember that their parents were in love and they gave a good example to follow Jesus Christ. That's the only example I'm trying to tell you.